Hello there. So back to normal, doing my vlogs at the end of the day from working from home. The thing is, what happened? Let me start with this. At 8:30 last night, it was announced by the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, that the country was going into lockdown. Now, what that means is that everyone has to work from home unless they are an essential key worker. And it means that our travelling about abilities have been limited. All we're allowed to do now is to go shopping very infrequently, which I learnt on the news this morning actually means no more than once a day. We go once a week. Anyway, you can leave your house to go shopping very infrequently for essentials. All non-essential stores have been closed, so a lot of like clothing stores and things like that. Essentials are basically, sorry, I'm trying to make myself a bit more comfortable. Clothing stores have been shut down, things like that. It's mostly supermarkets that's staying open, garages, that sort of thing, places that sell things like petrol and food, things that you need. You can leave the house to go for one period of exercise per day. So that's like a walk, a jog, riding your bike, something like that. They're saying things like golfing, even though it's out in a field, not a good idea. Try and avoid golfing. And try and avoid sports such as tennis, football, etc. It's really things that you can do as an individual or with members of your own household. So, for example, this lunchtime, my husband and I went for a walk together for half an hour. When you're out and about, you have to still practice social distancing, so you're supposed to keep roughly 6 foot or 2 metres or so apart, which actually we were able to do very well with other people out and about. And yeah, you can only leave the house to go to work if you're an essential key worker. So with that in mind, my vlog today, which I'd held over from yesterday, might come in handy. It's basically some TV that I've been streaming recently, even before this lockdown came into effect, or even before anyone even knew what coronavirus was. I'm not going to lie to you, I'd never even heard the word coronavirus before this started. And the fact that it was given a name, COVID-19, I wouldn't have thought in a million years that viruses could have names like that, because it just didn't even cross my mind. I'd heard about things like the Spanish influenza of around about 1918. Never really thought that I would see anything like this in my lifetime. So, with that in mind, I'm going to go through some of the things that I've been watching to keep myself occupied. A lot of it, a bit like the films I've been watching, are comedy series, because I don't know about you, you turn the TV on and it's rolling news coverage, and there's only so much of it you can take. And actually, for your own mental health and well-being, you should limit yourself to just finding out the facts and watching very brief snippets of things. You need to know the facts, and you need to take this incredibly seriously. If you're watching rolling news coverage, it's going to affect you mentally. In the long run, it's going to be really negative for everybody. So, that in mind, a lot of comedy stuff. A lot of drama in there as well, but a lot of comedy stuff. So something that I was late to the party with is the show This Country. In fact, as I'm speaking now, the final episode of this show aired last night, the very final one. In true form, in true British cult comedy classic form, it's gone on no longer than 3 series. And this is an absolutely brilliant idea, because it will be the making of it in the long term. People will remember this show fondly for years and years and years to come. It follows 2 young people, Kerry and Curtin Mucklow, as they go about their daily life in a little Cotswolds village. And it's interspersed with facts and figures about country living, country life for young people. And it is honestly one of the most hilarious things ever. I do feel quite personally attacked though, because I grew up in a little village in Hampshire, and the two are not that different in terms of things like there's no transport links, so you have to make your own entertainment, and you go around in gangs of like different age groups, and it was eerie. You know, you have to learn to drive, because if you don't learn to drive, then you can't get out of your village, and it isolates you, which is a bit topical, but you know what I mean. So I just watched it. I sit here and I watch it, and my husband grew up in a town. And I sit here and watch it and go, yep, that's completely accurate. He laughs at it and thinks some of it's ridiculous. I'm like, no. That is true. Things like having a scarecrow competition. We would have like a guy competition every bonfire night. It's all this sort of stuff. And you think, I sat there thinking, this was kind of like my life growing up. This is amazing. I love this show. So I find it absolutely hilarious. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and it's all available for streaming at the moment, so you really, really should watch it if you haven't and you're late to the party like me. I'm actually on the final series now. I haven't seen the final few episodes, but I'm on the final series now. We've caught up with it really quickly. It's just so fun. It's so fun to watch. Another thing that I've been watching a lot of recently is Inside Number 9. A new series has recently aired on the BBC, and it's the usual mix of drama and comedy and horror that you would expect, and just surrealism. And I love the way they write these episodes, because the twist is often very subtle. You don't see it coming until right at the end, and you have an oh my god kind of moment. It's absolutely brilliant. It's so well put together. I absolutely love this show, and I've loved the pair of them, Reece Shearsmith and Steve Pemberton, ever since I was a kid and I was sort of growing up with the League of Gentlemen. But this is just an absolutely brilliant show, and I can't really describe it to you because every episode is so very different. And you really should check it out because it's mind-blowing stuff. It's just the most incredible writing I've ever been privileged to see. Game of Thrones, well, we've recently finished that because we got a load of box sets for Christmas, and we watched a couple of episodes almost every night from Christmas to now, and yeah, we basically finished the entire series again. We've watched it over and over and over again. We've seen it so many times since the show aired. But Game of Thrones, if you want something that lasts a fairly decent amount of time, that you can really get stuck into, that you can really follow along, then I would say go with Game of Thrones. It's got drama, it's got weirdly a lot of historical accuracy to it. And it's just really good fun. Plus there's giant dragons. Who doesn't want a show with giant dragons? I've also been watching a lot of wrestling documentaries on the WWE Network. Now, about that, WWE, because of the situation we're in, have just announced that they're making the WWE Network free. You always used to get the first month free anyway, and then it was $9.99 a month, but they've just announced they're making the WWE Network free. You get pay-per-views, documentaries, which I've been watching loads of documentaries recently. It's just been absolutely amazing to look back at wrestlers that I grew up watching and seeing the sort of behind the scenes, what was going on at the time when these things like the Montreal Screwjob were taking place. And you get pay-per-views, documentaries, most recent episodes of things like Raw and SmackDown. You get things like NXT takeovers, which are always better than the main pay-per-views. You just have to trust me on that one. So check it out. It's available now. I was going to mention these documentaries anyway, but actually the WWE Network is available now. If you ever had even a passing interest in wrestling, or you used to watch it back in the 90s, there's loads of stuff about the Attitude Era, loads of stuff about Ruthless Aggression. You should just check it out. It's absolutely brilliant. In fact, Ruthless Aggression documentary series has only just finished airing the first half on the WWE Network. So that's all available now. There's 5 episodes. They range from about an hour to an hour and a half long each. Definitely worth checking it out. I would thoroughly recommend it. While you've got the opportunity, while you've got the time, and it's free. Very unusual for WWE to offer anything like that free. I don't know what's going on with Vince. I know he wants to sell the pay-per-views to ESPN, but my god, this is an amazing opportunity, so make the most of it. And finally, my favourite one, which I'm sure you can probably guess because I'm wearing the symbol. I always wear that now. I'll tell you what, I'm wearing the symbol since August. Must work because I've not been possessed by a demon yet. And also, if you can see my little plushie collection behind my head, they sit there, they watch TV with me. Supernatural became a bit of an obsession for me. Just over a year ago, I was introduced to it by a couple of friends of mine, and I sort of reluctantly went, oh, well, you know, I've got Amazon Prime anyway, and it was streaming on there, I'll give it a watch, and if it's not any good, I'll just leave it. And then Dean Winchester walked in and said to Sam Winchester that Dad's been on a hunting trip and hasn't been home in a few days. And I just went, crap, I love the show already. I just love the show already. And then it got even worse, because then in Series 4, Castiel showed up, and I was like, oh, for God's sake. The show just got even better. And so I binge-watched over the course of 2019, between January and when the season started in about October, although I was a little bit behind. So between January... Right, I started watching it in the January. Then I took a couple of months break. So really it was between the April and end of November 2019, I watched 13 series with an average of about 22 episodes per series, apart from the one that was when the writer's strike took place, that had a few less. So I watched 13 series in, 7 months? Roughly 2 series a month, plus I was going to work full time, and I was going on holiday, and I was doing all sorts of other things in that time as well, so I managed to binge this show. It was so easy for me to do. And actually, where I am at the moment, I'm up to date with where season 15 was left off. In fact, my husband will be getting me the latest episode later for me to watch. And yeah, sorry, I get kind of lost when I talk about it now, but I really enjoy the show. It's really good fun. There's comedy episodes, there's drama episodes. It's one of those shows where you have to watch every single episode from, like, the pilot episode in order to understand what goes on several series down the line. And I can imagine that if you were watching it as it was being broadcast and you were on, like, season 10, and then all of a sudden it refers back to something in season 2, and it's been 8 or 9 years, that's insane. But you can't miss anything, because it really does throw back like that. And we're getting to the stage now where me and my husband have just started watching season 6 together, because I've watched it all the way through. But he hasn't seen any of it yet. And we're coming up nearly already to halfway through season 6. And he's starting to see why you can't miss a single episode. Why you can't just fall asleep in front of the TV when you're watching it. Because all of a sudden you miss an episode and bam! You've completely lost something way in the future. I don't know that he believed me when I first told him that, but it is absolutely true. But the premise of the show is it follows the brothers Sam and Dean, and they are hunters. They hunt things like demons, ghosts, witches, wendigos, vampires, you name it, they'll hunt it. If it's a monster, they'll hunt it. And they end up teaming up with various demons, teaming up with various angels over the seasons, over the years. And I can't even tell you where they're at now, because if I do, it'll be a massive, massive spoiler. And actually, it will spoil something for my husband if I say where they're at now. But it's definitely worth watching. You might think from that description that it doesn't sound like much. You may have been on Tumblr and thought, isn't that the one with the gay angel? Yeah, kinda. Yeah. And I must admit, I felt like I was totally misled by what I'd seen online on Tumblr, and I probably put off watching it for many, many years because of that. The reason I've given this such a long one is if you are looking for a really long series, by the time season 15 finally ends, there will be something like 320 episodes. I don't know the exact number, 327, something like that episodes. A flipping butt ton is, I guess, what I'm trying to say. And yeah, that'll really take you some time. Like I say, it took me roughly 7 or 8 months to watch 13 series. And I'm on season 15 now. So, yeah. You can see it's a way of spending your quarantine lockdown time. It's definitely worth giving it a watch. It's weirdly addictive. And it will take over your life. So I apologise in advance. But that's probably enough from me for today's working from home vlog. I will return tomorrow, and I'm going to start doing a few on wrestling, I think. I reckon I'm going to do a kind of WrestleMania 36, which I'm going to have to completely rewrite because things have completely changed. Oh, getting back to Supernatural, the reason why I say I've got as far as we can get is it's now taken an indefinite hiatus because they've had to stop filming. They had 2 episodes left to film, and that was it. That was going to be it. When Vancouver, which is where it's filmed, went and basically shut everything down. And they went home and they're in lockdown with their families, which is of course the most important thing and where they should be right now. So what that means is we'll be getting more Supernatural at an unknown date, and that's when it will finish. So whereas it was supposed to finish in May, I can't see that happening. You know, it's probably going to be sometime over the summer at best. Yeah, like I say, WrestleMania 36, I think I'll probably go through a little bit of that tomorrow, but I'm going to have to rewrite that blog a little bit because with things constantly changing, WWE have rightly changed the way they're going to deal with it this year. It's going to be weird. We're living in a weird world right now. And when things can finally get back to normal, it'll be great. But hey, I've written off 2020 already and it's only March. I will see you on the other side then tomorrow, and thank you for sticking with my ramblings. Bye.